But first, we begin now with Amanda Knox, and the American who was studying in Italy when her roommate was slashed to death.
You were called satanic, demonic, a sex-crazy killer. How did it get so distorted?
There's no evidence. There's no evidence of that.
That's the theory. Knox is into some freaky sexual things.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel. Soy el agua que mata tu sed. El castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal.
It's clearly a hatchet job against Amanda, and it's absolutely false.
Well, if she's capable of all of this sex, she must also be capable of violence.
Crazy.
Very much playing into the Madonna whore dichotomy.
How come you were the only one who ended up in prison? Because you aren't some rich white girl like Amanda Knox? And it's like, because he's the one who fucking raped and murdered Meredith.
If the case against Amanda Knox was a hatchet job, the case against Raffaele Sollecito was a machete job, like something out of a Mexican drug cartel. When we look at the case of Amanda Knox, it's all about how you frame it. No one refers to this as the case of Meredith Kircher, who was the young woman killed, and no one refers to this as the case of Rudy Gaudet, who is the rapist and murderer. Instead, it's about Amanda Knox, and it's a trial about her. But inconveniently, her, quote, boyfriend at the time was a real-life Harry Potter Italian college student named Raffaele Sollecito. And I say boyfriend, and that's generous. He was hooking up with her in a puppy love frenzy of weed and lust and amour, or as Chris Farley would have put it,
Smoking, snorting, shooting, sucking, toking, popping, dropping.
but they weren't doing it. They smoked a little weed. They were not snorting, they were not shooting, there might have been some sucking. But can we just reference a calendar here? Because today we're going to talk about the screw job that Raphael took in this, and he lost 4 years of his life. Because the case against Amanda Knox is a joke. It's ridiculous to think that she had anything to do with this. Here's 2 clues. There's no motive and there's no evidence. What are we doing here? Okay? And by the way, there is motive and evidence, a ton of it, for Rudy Gaudet, the man who did this. I've already gone over that. But today we're talking about Raphael, who, they say, oh, this was the boyfriend, the loyal boyfriend, him and Amanda Knox, just Bonnie and Clyde. He met her at a classical music concert on the 25th of October, okay? Count with me the days. They hooked up that night, or what they called, had a happy ending. The 25th, the 26th, the 27th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the 8th day that he knew this human being, her roommate got murdered. Amanda had gone home to shower up. She noticed some blood. She noticed that something seemed off. When she went into her roommate's bathroom, she noticed a piece of crap in the toilet. She then called her boyfriend of 7 days, and they came over, investigated. They called the police. Immediately. They called the police. Now, I want to refresh your memory as to what happened here, and I'm going to start with how these two met. In their own words, they did a documentary on Netflix, and this is them going over their fateful meeting on the 25th of October.
I went to a classical music concert, and there was this girl alone. She was very, very pretty, and when I looked at her, she looked at me back. I was that so shy that even if she looked at me and she smiled at me, I was turning back and said, is she looking at somebody on my back? It was not, it was me. So after I realized it, I said, why not stalking?
He immediately recognized from my accent that I was American or spoke English, and so he started speaking to me in English because he can, or at least kinda.
I just made eye contact with this Italian guy who was a nerdy Italian guy, and he was cute, and I thought he was cute, so I kind of like did the eyes and smile and smile back, and you pay attention to the music. And then at intermission, Meredith had to go and meet her friends. And so she got up and left, and then Raffaele swooped in and took her spot. And then, you know, from then on out, I was in puppy love.
I showed her a beautiful panorama of Perugia, which for me was very romantic, and I had my heart beating so fast, like, oh, there's the romance now. And I kissed her.
Compared to so many other guys who were just automatically like, hey, baby. Like, he was super nice, and I was completely charmed, and yeah.
Well, we went to home. I started to smoke to try to prepare a joint or something like that, but then we thought about something different. And the night closed with the happy ending.
This is a man who is too modest and polite and classy to explain the details of what him and Amanda Knox did that night. Okay, guys like this, do you have any perception as to human character? Guys like this do not violently rape and murder a woman at knife point. Okay, let me point out one factor here. Again, it comes down to motivation and evidence, but what is the motivation? He's hooking up with a young 20-year-old Amanda Knox. They're going out, they're spending every waking moment together, they're watching movies, they're eating, they're taking romantic walks, they're hooking up. What the man is satiated. Like, what? Why on earth would he go after a woman? It boggles the mind. And it's a ridiculous notion to even present when we already have Rudy Gaudet and his evidence left everywhere, including the poo in the toilet, bloody footprints, fingerprints, his DNA in Meredith Kercher's genitals and all over her and on her handbag. And by the way, she had things missing from her handbag. I mean, he admits he was there. He admits this is the guy. This is the guy. And yet we still have to entertain, well, why are we putting Raffaele Sollecito in jail for 4 years? What the hell is that about?
You all know that the focus was only through Amanda, to her behavior, to her peculiar behavior. But whatever it is, I'm not guilty for it. Why do you convict me? Why do you put me on the corner and say that I'm guilty just because in their mind I have to be guilty because I was her boyfriend? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm nervous.
What you nervous about? Jeez.
I think a lot of people think that I'm used to talking about this, and the fact that it still bothers me is good, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to convey it honestly.
Hold on, Amanda, hold on. This is not all about you, Amanda. You've had your time in the sun and in the spotlight, which you weren't even asking for. And Amanda is watching this, so everyone say hi to Amanda. Hi, Amanda. What up, girl? There will be more videos about Amanda because she took an avalanche of shit for years of her life for no reason whatsoever. So that is duly noted, and there's some naming and shaming that needs to go on. Now, she wouldn't do that because she is very empathetic and has found some sort of enlightenment in which she loves and is empathetic to everyone. And so she's trying to hug and make peace with and build bridges. I am here to not do that. Okay, Amanda is, I think she has more estrogen than me. I'm not sure what is happening. But no, it is a ridiculously awful thing that has happened to these two young people, well, three, including Meredith Kercher, and it's time we talk about it in full. But today it's about Raffaele. So Raffaele, here's him speaking in court about how ridiculous it is and how he didn't do anything.
Vuol dire che non ho mai fatto del male a nessuno, mai nella vita. L'accusa che mi è stata mossa contro, ed è durata praticamente tutti questi anni, è talmente fuori stata che ho sempre pensato che si sarebbe in qualche modo esaurita e in qualche modo si sarebbe chiarito tutto quanto nel giro di poco tempo.
We do know who raped and murdered Meredith Kercher.
His name is Rudy Gaudet. We found his DNA all over the crime scene, and he acted in a very particular way in the days after this crime occurred that was very different than the rest of the people close to Meredith at this time. What did he do? Well, he got rid of all of the bloodstained clothing. He went partying right afterwards, and then a few days later fled the country and adopted a false identity and tried to get away with it. And I'm surprised that people spend so much time twisting themselves in knots to talk about my behavior and say, ooh, is this guilty behavior, innocent behavior, and completely overlook the obviously guilty demeanor of the person who actually committed this crime. I spent 4 years in prison and a total of around 8 years on trial, having been accused of orchestrating this murder. All of that was false. I had nothing to do with my roommate's murder, but it was an international media sensation. It was an ordeal, and ultimately I was acquitted, but it took a long time.
Thank you for sitting down to speak with us.
I'm really glad to have this opportunity.
I assume, in part, you wrote this book to set the record straight. Do you feel like you've been able to do that?
Well, it was really hard work also because coming up with all my feelings inside this tragedy is really painful. It was a really hard job from a really very good team, and because there's the contribution of my father, my sister, and so my aunt, attendant lawyer of mine, and yeah, it was really a really big, huge work on that, just to give the overall view of the trial and this ordeal. I didn't want to put inside only my feelings and my emotion about my experience, but give the overall image to reveal exactly the truth about any detail in this tragedy. Hey, I'm one of you. I'm a normal guy who passed through a nightmare. Now I'm different because of the nightmare I passed through, but I'm innocent.
Your relationship with Amanda has kind of been characterized in the media as her sometimes as being this kind of femme fatale, this very dominant character, and you being more quiet and kind of just going along with her.
No, I never did something like that in my life, and even Amanda is not. So I was very in love with her. Even after a few days, I was very attached to her because I found her good, very good to me. But really, that is really ridiculous. It would be really stupid to think about that.
You mean to be loyal to have some kind of misplaced loyalty to someone just because you love them to kind of...
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. After 5 days, I didn't know her, so why I should be loyal to her? What's the reason why?
How long had you actually been dating her before the murder occurred?
We were dating just for 8 days, 9 days.
Earlier you said 5 days, and now you're saying 8 or 9 days. You have been caught in a lie. Your Honor, and beautiful people of the jury, please understand that this man is a chronic liar.
Okay, it was the 25th they met. The murder was on the 1st of November, in the night, discovered on the 2nd.
8 or 9 days.
Yeah, we were just starting to know each other. It was just a flower that was just blossoming. It was still closed, just the image of the flower.
And yes, and we all want to blossom the flower of our sexual connection, Raphael, with you over some weed and some Amelie. We get it. But let me just describe for you guys what happened at the crime scene. Okay, so from their perspective, this is what happened when Amanda came back after one of their happy ending sessions. She comes back to her apartment to freshen up, and she walks into the bathroom to take a shower. Here's what happens.
And I got undressed and I walked into the bathroom, and I noticed that there was some drops of blood in the sink. But, I mean, they're just a few drops of blood, whatever. I brushed my teeth, and then I took a shower, When I stepped out of the shower onto the bath mat, that's when I noticed the larger splotch of blood on the bath mat.
Yo. So this splotch of blood is one of the things that they say, the guilters, the people who think that Amanda and Raphael did this, one of the things that they have latched onto is they're saying that footprint is Raffaele's foot. And they say it's a perfect bloody Cinderella match. Now, it's a little bit problematic for several reasons, and please just know that we will return to the footprint. We are going to be all about this footprint. But continue, Amanda.
But there's only some spots of blood and then that, so maybe someone cut themselves, something like that. It was right after I was done blow drying my hair that I just happened to look over into the toilet and saw that feces had been left there. That gave me the creeps. Like all of a sudden I got this creepy feeling like someone was in the house with me, and I was just like, oh shit. So I went to Raphael and I talked to him about it.
I went back there. I saw all this mess. It was very weird. And I was a little bit surprised that she took a shower inside her house without having the anxiety of it.
We tried Meredith's room and the door was locked, which was very strange. And so I knocked gently and called for Meredith, and then I knocked louder and I called for Meredith, and finally I was like, Raphael, can you please try to break open this door? I don't know if Meredith's in there or not. And he tried kicking it down twice, but it didn't work.
Pronto, buongiorno. Senta, qualcuno è molto disordine, c'è una porta chiusa. C'è qui sono pure macchie di sangue nel bagno.
C'è una porta chiusa? Qual è la porta chiusa?
Sì, una delle conquiline che non c'è, non sappiamo dove.
No. Va bene, adesso mando una pattuglia così verifichiamo la situazione.
No, Raphael, don't tell them about the blood in the bathroom. That's your bloody footprint in there. Surely wait another hour and clean that up. So this is the suspicious behavior of Amanda Knox and Raffaele, is they immediately call the cops and say, come on out here. And meanwhile, the killer and the rapist, Rudy Gaudet, has fled the country. So put on your Sherlock Holmes cap, people. We're going to figure this out together. And let me read you some of the transcript, because they cut off that call. So this is the second call to the cops. The call had been cut off. The police say, burglary in the house? Raphael says, no, there's no theft. They broke a window. There is a mess. There's also a closed door. A mess. Police, just a moment, please. They put him on hold. They give him some music. Dun, 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 dun. They play Girl from Ipanema. No, I don't know. They might not have. Hello? Yes? So listen, they entered, they broke a window, and how do you know they entered? Raphael says, it can be seen by the signs that there are drops. There are blood stains in the bathroom. So they entered because the window's broken? Did they cut themselves breaking the window? This. And then the call's cut off. Hello? Calls back. Carabinieri, Perugia. Yes, hello? I called 2 seconds ago? Yeah, please hold.
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she...
Okay, someone has entered the house and broke the window? Yes. They went into the bathroom? I don't know. If you come here, perhaps, what did they take? They didn't take anything. The problem is the closed door. There are blood stains. There's a closed door. Which door is closed? The one of the flatmates who isn't here, and we don't know where she is. And there are blood stains outside the door of the flatmate who's not there? The blood stains are in the bathroom. Oh, in the bathroom? And this door is closed. And this girl, do you have her mobile number? Yeah, we tried to call her, but she's not answering. Okay, I'll send a patrol car now, and we'll check the situation out. Okay. Goodbye. This is a normal call from a normal man saying, this is suspicious shit in this house, please send the police. He spent 4 years in jail as a result of this, as did Amanda Knox. This is utterly crazy. Now, let me address one of the things that the losers have attached themselves to in this phone call. They have harped in on this point, and you have to stay with me. I'm going to go slow motion so you can fully embrace the retardation that we are witnessing. When Raphael says they didn't take anything, So the police are like, well, what did they take? He goes, they didn't take anything. The guilters think this is suspicious from Raphael, and I swear to God, I have to go slow motion to try to stay with this. Are you aware that the bullshit story is that Amanda and Raphael staged this break-in? I did a whole video on it. It's like a 2-hour video because it's so deliciously dumb. There is a rock that was thrown through the window. Rudy Gaday's MO was to throw rocks, breaking windows on second-story houses in Italy. He had just done it a couple weeks prior. He broke the window, entered the apartment to steal stuff. That's what he did. He's done it multiple times, Rudy Gaday. Now, let's ignore that. Try to ignore that that's what Rudy does. That's what it's proven that he does that. He could have easily entered the apartment by climbing up using the window. It was an easy thing to do. We've recreated it. They're saying, no, Raphael and Amanda pretended there was a break-in to cover their tracks and to put the cops on some different scent and say, oh, it's probably some other person from the outside world. It wasn't us. It wasn't an inside job. Now, specifically to this point, let's walk through this logic. If you were trying to stage a break-in, as in there was a robbery, it was a robbery gone wrong, that was the story you're trying to fabricate, wouldn't you remove valuable items from the home to bolster the case that this was a break-in and robbery? Wait, you staged a break-in and you made it so that nothing was stolen? That doesn't make sense, okay? It doesn't make sense because there was no staged break-in. And, okay, but they're taking issue with, I'm not making this up, they say, how did Raphael know that nothing had been taken? The reason he knows that is because he concocted the whole thing, and he's the mastermind, and he knows nothing was stolen because he didn't steal anything in the staging of this break-in. And this is him slipping up. Now, in reality, I give you, unironically, the human witch, Roberta Glass, and her dumbass take. This is her and one of her dopey-ass friends talking about this suspicious moment where Raphael says he knows nothing was taken. And this is her not understanding that she just turned her camera on.
All right. All right, it's a Friday. Oh, thank you, Workhorse. Thank you for that. You can see I'm not even ready for this, but...
Yeah, you're not ready for this, Roberta. You're definitely not ready for this.
Raffaele called it in, and the greatest part of his call for help, he's like, you know, things look amiss here. He's like, nothing has been stolen. This is a question for Devon. How did Raffaele know nothing had been stolen? How did he know exactly what the roommates owned and nothing was taken?
Wow, that's a surprising pop quiz from Roberta Glass. I wonder how I'll answer it. Here's how he knew. He wasn't saying definitively nothing had been taken. He doesn't know the contents of that apartment. He had talked to Amanda, and Amanda said nothing appears to be taken, which is the truth. They wandered around, they looked in Philomena's room, nothing had been taken, there was a laptop there, still there, things had been pushed around, the clothing and whatnot, but nothing of value had been taken from that room. Nothing in the common room had been taken. As she looked over and assessed whether or not something had been stolen, Amanda's determination was nothing had been taken. Amanda went into her room, checked to see if everything was fine and kosher in there, and it turned out to be the case. And it is in fact true, nothing was taken from Amanda's room. So she says to Raphael, during their conversation prior to phoning the police, it appears that nothing has been taken. Now the one thing they didn't know about was what was going on in Meredith's room because the door was locked, which was obviously very suspicious, which is why they called the police. But just listen to this. She doubles down on this accusation. Listen.
And you mentioned this yesterday. How would he know if nothing was stolen? That's ridiculous.
He's like, no, nothing's been taken. How does he know what the other roommates have? I mean, he might know what Amanda Knox has, but he's not going to know what Philomena and Laura have, what jewelry they have, what...
You're right. He didn't check every piece of jewelry. He didn't know what was before or after. It was based off Amanda's statement to him that it appears that nothing has been taken. So he doesn't know for certain.
And there was nothing taken. That's also the other thing. They like to call Rudy Gude like a career burglar. Let's look at this. Let's look at the scene just like one more time.
Oh, you dumb moron. Things were taken. And Rudy Gude was a burglar, and he did rob several times and was arrested for it, which I went over in my 5-hour video on Rudy Gude. And so this whole notion that Raffaele must be guilty because he knows nothing was taken from the house. And yet, morons, earth to morons, things were taken from the house. Raffaele didn't know about it because he had no access. First of all, the guy's not omniscient. Second of all, he's just giving you a quick analysis of what he is seeing at the apartment. It's not like, there are no couches, the TV's gone, laptops are missing, everything in Amanda's room is missing. Nothing was missing from what they could tell. Now, Meredith Kircher, her money was stolen, her credit cards and her cell phones were stolen by Rudy Gaudet. Raffaele didn't report that because he didn't know that yet. And so what does this do with the staged break-in? So you're going to stage a break-in, steal nothing of value in the main part of the house, report to the police nothing has been stolen, and then yet things were stolen from Meredith. None of this makes sense.
Time and again, Masai's reasoning got knotted up on points that seemed to defy logic, and he would pull out some extraordinarily convoluted argument to free himself from trouble. Yes, he wrote, Rudy Gaudet had thrown rocks through windows and staged break-ins in the weeks leading up to the murder. But the circumstances at Via della Pergola were completely different, because Gaudet knew the occupants and would surely do nothing as violent as smashing a window in a house belonging to his friends. So a real burglary was out of the question. And Gaudet could not have staged a burglary either, because the staging would immediately draw attention to his standard operating procedure in a string of previous incidents. It took a moment to absorb this in its full circular ridiculousness. Or again, if Amanda and I had committed the murder, why did we lurk around the house for the police to find us? Because, Masai said, we knew the authorities would want to question us sooner or later, so we decided we might as well make it easy for them. Right, as first-time violent criminals always do. My otherwise impeccably sober appeals brief later called this argument mind-boggling. Why, if I were trying to further the idea that there had been a break-in, did I tell the Carabinieri that nothing had been taken? Masai had to expend several paragraphs explaining this away. Because, he said, I wanted to establish some credibility with law enforcement, and I knew since I'd staged the break-in that nothing had in fact been taken, and I didn't want to get caught in a lie. Huh? I had to read that one several times too. It was nonsense, even on its own terms. Meredith's money, credit cards, and cell phones were stolen, as the police later established. If I'd committed the murder, wouldn't I know these were gone? Masai chose not to go anywhere near that subject.
But let me just explain to you, this is one of their pillars against Raffaele, and this is something that I call evidence Jenga. As in, you build up a tower of points or arguments against someone, pieces of evidence, and if one of them falls, the case might not fall, but it's getting wobbly. First of all, you never had a case. But second of all, this tower, this is your tower for Raffaele? And here it is quickly. He likes animal porn. It's a lie. His apartment smelled like bleach. No, it didn't, and it's irrelevant. He has a cleaner at his place. He knew nothing was stolen. This is one of the points they bring up against this guy. First of all, he didn't know nothing was stolen because something was stolen. So he was assessing the situation in the apartment, everything outside of Meredith's room, and nothing was stolen from that area. So what the hell kind of a point is that to say to a guy and put him in jail for 4 years over? Then we have the bra clasp, which is a whole saga, which we'll get into. And then comes the footprint. So now, finally, it is time to circle back to the footprint. But first, let's listen to Amanda Knox paying tribute somehow, fashionistically, to Snow White. Give us a reset of this case.
In 2007, 2 young girls went to go study abroad in Perugia, Italy, and one of us survived the experience. So I'm incredibly grateful and lucky to have been the one who got to go home and survive, the one who lived. I've described it before as feeling...
Hold on, this is not the Amanda show. We're going back to Raffaele. Raffaele, you chime in.
Do you hold Amanda Knox responsible for the situation you're in now?
Actually, they focused all their attention on her. And I cannot understand really why, but on the other side, I'm not responsible for that. So I'm not saying that Amanda is responsible for all this situation, but they focus on her and they accuse her all the time. but I have nothing to do with all these circumstances and all these accusations.
Yes, did Amanda knock out and rob the clothing of Snow White at some Disney theme park? We don't know. We're not here to look. The evidence is still coming in on that. The jury is still out on that. But if she did or didn't do that, that's not on us. We have nothing to do with it. We know this woman for 7 days. I know Amanda longer than 7 or 8 days. We have a relationship that is way longer than 8 days. More than 8 emails have been exchanged. Okay, that does not tie me to everything Amanda Knox does. By the way, she didn't do anything. By the way. Aside from the Snow White stuff, that's legit.
Why do you put me on the corner and say that I'm guilty just because in their mind I have to be guilty because I was her boyfriend? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense? But Raffaele, how did you know that nothing was stolen from the apartment even though things were stolen from the apartment? Got him. Got him. Choke on that, Italian Harry Potter.
Suddenly, I found myself tossed into this dark place. I was so scared. I don't know what else to say. Before Italy, I had a happy life. It was very important for me to get out of my comfort zone and see if that made me turn into an adult.
When I was with Amanda, I was so happy. What happened that night?
Amanda Knox. Did you kill her?
Sex. I mean, some of the information that came out was just completely made up. It made headlines all over the world. The trial of the decade. It was just crazy.
The whole world knew who I had ever had sex with.
She was terrified.
Amanda! I felt like a child again. And I knew I was a kid.
Right, so here is the prosecution's theory as to what happened, and they've given us, I think a Korean animation studio has produced an animation to walk us through what they think happened.
Italian prosecutors submitted that the victim had been home alone. Knox, her former Italian boyfriend, and a third mutual friend had come to the house to attempt to persuade the victim to join a sexual orgy.
Okay, so the dark orange guy is actually the black man, Rudy Gade, which, you know, it's neither here nor there. Don't study criminal stats on rape or murder, please. Please don't do that. Please do not put that into ChatGPT. Oh, ChatGPT will run some cover for that trend. It will. So tip of the cap to those cucked out coders of that little website. But this is Rudy Gade, who, you know, has been breaking into houses and throwing rocks into second-story windows to break into houses and has been arrested for it in the past. And he did it again, but here he is hanging out with two people he doesn't know. Never met Raffaele in his life, had said hello to Amanda once or twice in passing over several months. Doesn't know these people. There's nothing connecting these people at all. There's no text messages between these people. They don't know each other. But apparently they've walked into Meredith Kercher's room to randomly rape her and murder her as a group. It's a group activity. Yeah, where are you trying to go there, Meredith? What are you doing? You can't come out of this room. Me and my 8-day boyfriend, Raffaele here, we're going to stop you. Because we could be having sex and eating Italian food right now and watching Amelie, but it's kind of boring. We're kind of over it.
A violent scuffle ensued, and the victim was savagely stabbed in the neck. Knox and her accomplices then faked a burglary to cover up their crime.
Wait, they have Amanda stealing her credit cards and money? Then why is her DNA not on the bag, and why is Rudy Gade's DNA on the bag and on Meredith and all over that room? There's not a single trace of Amanda in that room. Ah, and here's a split screen, very cinematically done. There's Rudy Gade taking a dump and not flushing the toilet, which is a curious choice. It's a low IQ move. And then here we have Amanda and Raffaele in Amanda's bathroom, and you see those bloody footprints on the ground? Ooh, we're about to go over that. Now, it's not quite true to form because there is a bare foot print in the bathroom. Bare footprint. Right, and that's them staging the break-in they didn't stage. But, okay, it was just a break-in from Rudy Gade. But before we get into the footprint, Raffaele went on an Italian talk show, and I translated it, and I want to give you a couple moments from it because I find it to be a compelling and interesting little part of the saga, and I want to show that to you because one of their legal experts had some very pointed things to say about just how much of a debacle this whole case was.
Con attenzione.
un po' così alla carlona, come spesso succede in Italia. Poi queste indagini vanno avanti, si complicano, c'è una grande confusione, alla fine tu non capisci più chi abbia ragione, chi abbia torto, ma emergono soprattutto degli elementi superficiali che sono ininfluenti al fine di capire cosa possa essere successo. Sono tutti discorsi, congetture, ma di una banalità sorprendente. Allora io mi domando questo, ma per condannare una persona, fra l'altro anche non a 6 mesi di carcere, ma a 25, 30 anni, ergastoli come piovesse, ma non bisognerebbe procedere con i piedi di piombo, con un minimo di attenzione? Io quando vedo comparire le tute bianche mi terrorizzo, perché so che sarà un casino, che non si capirà più niente, controversie, perizie contro perizie. Io mi trovo di fronte a 3 periti di qua, 3 periti di là, come Garlasco, uguale, no, periti, cioè periti per aria, periti per terra, periti dappertutto, ma quale dei periti ha ragione? Tu come puoi saperlo? Il primo che ha parlato, no il secondo che ha... Ma vi rendete conto che noi stiamo andando contro persone, contro giovani, fossero anche ottantenni, non importa, così sulla base di elementi vani, assurdi. Io lo trovo agghiacciante tutto questo. Allora, se si hanno in mano delle prove, c'è poco da fare, si condanna. Ma i processi indiziari sono tutti pelosissimi, sono tutti pericolosi. Se poi intervengono queste perizie e non si sa quale sia la più attendibile, io ci starei attento, perché è vero, qui c'è una vittima, che è quella signorina che non ricordo neanche come si chiama, Meredith, che è morta, e quindi va rispettata, bisognerebbe trovare i colpevoli. Ma pur di trovare un colpevole mettiamo in carcere altri 2 innocenti, il risultato è 3 vittime anziché una. Ma vi sembra giustizia questa o schifezza? Per me è una schifezza.
Roberta Brutto. And then he tackles a larger point, which I've touched on a little bit. Where is the motive? Why would this man kill this woman? Why? I'm talking about Raphael. What the hell is the point? Produce a single plausible theory as to why this guy would be involved in this at all. So put aside the complete lack of evidence. Put aside the overwhelming evidence towards Rudy Guede. Rudy Guede's track record, he uses a knife to threaten people. He breaks into people's houses. That's what he does. He's a criminal. Raphael's history, he's not a criminal. He doesn't have a criminal past or a violent past at all. What do they do after the incident? Rudy Guede flees the country and changes his name. Denies everything. Raphael calls the police day of, immediately.
No, l'ha conservata la traccia.
Certo,
ma con quelle tracce...
quella che c'era. Ci siamo.
Ma comunque ha portato a niente, ha comunque portato a niente.
Perché non è completa.
Stiamo giocando ai piccoli chimici qui, non si capisce niente.
La genetica è questa.
I piccoli chimici. Ma voi credete ai chimici? Io sono una figlia chimica, se mi dice che è mortadella non ci credo. Cioè, attenzione.
Ho capito, però.
Sì, però non si può neanche dare questo valore religioso, cioè il chimico ha detto, la tecnica, ma tu mi devi, mi scusi, dottoressa Roberto, lei mi deve spiegare per quale motivo questo signore avrebbe dovuto uccidere questa ragazza. Almeno un'ipotesi che stia in piedi c'è? Io la vorrei sapere, perché io sono un ignorante, non so niente di chimica. Io so l'acqua, non mi ricordo neanche l'acqua, cos'è? Non mi ricordo. H2O. Quindi io voglio capire perché lui doveva ammazzare questa figlia.
Allora, perché doveva ammazzare...
La volevi scopare? Non lo so, chiedo.
No, alla dottoressa, sinceramente, lo vorrei chiedere alla dottoressa.
Non ha senso incriminare questo giovanotto per un delitto che non si sa bene. Ma perché doveva farlo? Uno si stava laureando, stava facendo la tesi, c'aveva una fidanzata bellissima, va a scopare questo qui che non era neanche eccezionale, vogliamo dire.
Sicuramente è una ragazza carina.
Non lo so, ma voglio dire...
Perché a questo?
Però cerchiamo di capire.
Di fare dei riferimenti
però cerchiamo di capire.
Una ragazza morta ammazzata.
Ma lo so.
Exactly, none of this makes sense. And even the idea that Raphael took part in this rape and murder is insane. You still have to explain how is Amanda and Rudy involved? You have no case against Raphael at all. because he had nothing to do with this. But there's a damning case against Rudy Guede, and also there's a nothing case against Amanda. And yet somehow they suggest that the three of these people coordinated into doing this event. Makes no sense whatsoever. None. Listen to Roberta. This is Roberta and her Sherlock Holmes masterminded idea behind what happened.
So let's watch it together, shall we? And I have some stuff prepared, and we can talk a little bit about the evidence. I mean, why I think Amanda Knox is involved, and these group crimes are always difficult. This is the innocence fraud movement loves to talk about group crimes because they're very hard to imagine. How did it start? What was it about? Who did what? I can't speak to the mechanics of how this worked, what happened. All I know is there was a lot of evidence, both behavioral, both DNA, that implicated Amanda Knox.
Immediately extradited back to Italy, Guede was confronted with overwhelming DNA evidence that put him at the crime scene and at the time of the murder. Huh. Well, he's probably innocent, and yeah, I'm still sticking with the Amanda Knox. I mean, she
No
kissed her
one ever
boyfriend
said that.
outside.
See, so
you
he's
saw
making
that,
a
right?
false dichotomy. So to believe Amanda Knox is guilty, you have to believe Rudy Guede is innocent, and that's just not so. This is a group murder.
And what's your theory of what really happened with the murder of Meredith Kircher? Like, people, they always talk of like sex party gone wrong or something like that. What?
That was never argued in court. Amanda Knox loves to bring that up because it makes, anytime you have these kind of group murders or group gang rapes, or we were talking about the Central Park Five.
Right. There's a lot of things that reminded me of the Central Park Five about this case, but we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah, or the West Memphis Three. Anytime that there's more than one person doing the crime, it becomes very hard to imagine. Now,
His latest story suggests he was being intimate with Meredith, consensually no doubt, in her room when he suddenly needed to use the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, Amanda and Raffaele came in and murdered Meredith.
nobody's saying that. No one is saying that.
Rudy is saying that, Roberta. Rudy is.
I mean, no one believes that story. Everyone believes that the three of them did it together.
Everyone believes this, guys, that the three of them did this together. It's amazing that Rudy has never spoken to this at all. He's never said anything of the sort. And he's in and out of jail. He didn't do a tell-all book. He said, look, here's what really happened. Here's the conspiracy. The three of us raped and killed that girl because she had it coming. Makes no sense in the world. And watch Roberta just fail miserably to produce any credible or even remotely rational scenario in which these three people did this. Forget the evidence. We're strictly talking plausible scenario that even registers as remotely true.
And the reason why Meredith Kircher was a brown belt, and she had no defensive wounds.
She did have defensive wounds. She was cut all over the place. Her hands were cut. She's bruised everywhere. And you say she's a brown belt? She wasn't a brown belt. You dumb old woman. She was an orange belt in karate. So I know orange and brown are kind of similar. Brown belt is right next to black belt, right? So surely orange belt is up there, isn't it? No, actually not. In karate, you have white belts, yellow belts, orange belt. Orange belt means you will become an intermediate soon. So you're almost mid. You suck at karate, is what an orange belt says. And also, she's a little girl, a small little girl taking on a young black male. So her karate, I don't think she had the time to really put any reverse spinning wheel kicks in while she was being knifed in her throat. But after orange belt comes green belt, blue belt, purple belt, red belt, then brown belt, then black belt. So you're completely effing incorrect. She did have defensive wounds. She wasn't some karate superstar. And the man is a grown man in the physical prime of his life with a knife and a rapey bloodlust. Most importantly, Guede's DNA was found inside Meredith's body.
Right. Doesn't that sound? So it was a sexual assault.
It was a sexual assault from Rudy Guede because his DNA was found in her body. And his semen was on the pillowcase underneath her body, and that was never tested, which is insane. Totally crazy. And guess who requested that semen stain be tested? Amanda and Raffaele. Both of them and their lawyers begged the state to to test the semen. Does that sound like people scared of finding the results of that semen? No, because it's not Raphael's semen, and Amanda Knox does not produce semen, as she has told us.
I don't
and
produce
so
semen?
for the prosecution, they're like, it's not important to us. Rudy's already guilty. We got Rudy. So we don't need the nail in the coffin that was his semen, and it was his semen. But it's a little bit wild that people seem to overlook that Raphael begged the state to test the semen, and they refused to.
I mean, you really rushed this video out way, way, way too soon. It's so bad. It's so ill-informed. It's so poor. We all love a good Devon Tracy video, but the quality of the research is so poor.
Also had a history of break-ins similar to that seen at the cottage. 1 week prior to the murder, Guedede was caught breaking into a nursery school.
There was no sperm found. That's another Amanda Knox propaganda point. I mean, this is just pathetic.
This is the pillow I talked about. This was under Meredith's hips. And guess what they found on there? Semen. And the police refused to test it. I can't tell you why.
Ma con, diciamo, già la ventilazione dell'ipotesi di un gioco sessuale finito male.
Allora, la violenza sessuale, se tu vedi la scena del crimine, anche con gli esperti che ho dovuto per forza di cose contattare, interpellare dopo, di fatto la scena ti dice che c'è una violenza sessuale. C'è una ragazza stesa su un cuscino che sta sotto le natiche, ci sono tracce di sperma sul cuscino che tra l'altro non sono mai state analizzate.
Ma perché, raga? Ma io ogni volta che noi guardiamo questi casi, ci sono sempre delle cose fondamentali che non vengono analizzate. Ma
questo
ma è mai stata data una spiegazione? Cioè qualcuno ha mai chiesto perché queste persone non hanno fatto il loro lavoro? Se c'è della sul cuscino nessuno la analizza?
E secondo loro era troppo vecchia, quindi già pensare il fatto che tu dormi, vabbè,
sì.
te lo sorvoliamo in un attimino,
Però ma anche, come fanno a stabilire che sia vecchia?
Appunto, se tu non hai fatto,
come fai a stabilire?
Bravo Federico, cioè se tu non hai nemmeno fatto un test per capire a che data, perché un test si può fare, che cosa mi stai a raccontare?
Cioè si è messo lì uno ad assaggiare e vedere, no, è vecchia. Cioè non ha senso, oggettivamente.
Non aveva nessun senso, ma il senso secondo me era un altro. Il senso era che se effettivamente quella traccia di sperma era di Guedede dall'inizio,
tu eri fuori.
Ero fuori
certo.
e tutto il loro castello si sbriciolava alla luce del sole in quell'istante.
Quel momento loro avevano già individuato altre tracce di Guedede, in particolare anche all'interno della vagina della vittima avevano trovato delle tracce riconducibili poi al dito di Guedede sostanzialmente, oltre che altre tracce. Molto probabilmente lo potrebbero giustificare dicendo noi avevamo già sufficienti elementi che collegassero lui alla scena del crimine, quindi andare ad analizzare anche la traccia di liquido seminale che molto probabilmente era riconducibile sempre a lui ci sembrava superfluo.
No. Allora, non era superfluo perché di fatto la loro teoria era che c'è stato un'aggressione di gruppo dove effettivamente, secondo loro, Guedede non è intervenuto per violentare Meredith. Guedede era intervenuto diciamo, il protagonista, secondo loro, omicidiario era Amanda. Guedede e io eravamo a supporto di Amanda, questo era il loro scenario.
Tant'è che Guedede viene giudicato separatamente.
Guedede viene giudicato separatamente per un errore che adesso, oggigiorno, penso che ci sia una legge che non lo permetta più. Un errore del magistrato che è stato quello di accettare da parte del Guedede la richiesta di fare un rito abbreviato. La richiesta del rito abbreviato significa io accetto questo.
Io mi separo dagli altri,
Esatto.
Quindi se siamo 3 coimputati io vado per la mia strada,
certo.
E rinuncio al dibattimento, quindi rinuncio alla fase del processo dove io posso portare testimoni, nuove prove, tutti elementi che esulano da quanto raccolto durante le indagini.
Ognuno deposita i suoi fascicoli, difesa, accusa e vengono...
Solo quello che è stato già depositato fino alla chiusura delle indagini preliminari,
Nulla
con
di
l'abbreviato secco. Posso chiedere un abbreviato condizionato nel caso in cui io imputato voglia introdurre degli altri elementi, però in quel caso il PM ha il diritto alla controprova.
Ok.
Quindi esempio voglio introdurre una dichiarazione di Davide Marra che non c'era, il
Sì,
PM
sì, chiaro. In questo caso a lui non conveniva, mi pare di capire.
in questo caso lui non li aveva, ma soprattutto lo scopo dell'abbreviato qual è? Rinunciare a questa ulteriore garanzia del dibattimento per avere un terzo secco di sconto sulla pena. Oggi,
Certo.
come diceva Raffaele, non lo puoi fare più per i delitti puniti con la pena dell'ergastolo.
Ok.
Quindi dipende dal capo di imputazione che ti viene contestato se astrattamente potresti avere una condanna all'ergastolo, non puoi accedere all'abbreviato.
Sì, sì, quindi il rito abbreviato ti sconta un terzo della pena.
Di fatto congela il materiale probatorio della persona che lo chiede. Io e Amanda volevamo andare a dibattimento perché volevamo dire no, vogliamo discutere queste prove perché per noi sono fuori di testa.
Okay, how do I think Rudy was involved? I think he was involved. I think they were buying drugs from him, and I think they were hopped up on a lot of drugs. I think that's where her money went. And I think this was fueled by drugs, and I think that she wasn't there to do any studying. She was there to party and have fun. There's nothing wrong with that until you murder someone. How do you account for the overwhelming evidence against him? Yeah, no, I'm not disputing the evidence against Rudy. So I don't know if he's purposely playing dumb or what. And how can you possibly tie this with Amanda Knox? I've already told them 100 million times. DNA evidence, the lamp. She didn't have an alibi.
She is such a fucking idiot. Holy fuck. This video will go on way too long if I go over every clip I have of her, but I'll just save it for future videos. Right now, I gotta yank myself back to the footprint. Roberta thinks that the footprint left in the bathroom was that of Raffaele. Yet another thing she is completely wrong about, but let's shove it in her big hook-nosed face. I'm sorry, I need to tap into my estrogen a little bit more and be respectful to Amanda and her wanting to spread love and happiness. I think Roberta Glass is wrong about the accusation that this footprint is Raphael's. And I'd like to enlighten her, but first, listen to this.
And luminol revealed multiple bare footprints, woman's footprint-sized footprints, Raph-sized footprints, going through the hall. Why would a murderer feel so good that he would take off his shoes? So you're saying those are Rudy Gudet's footprints?
The hallway footprints are footprints from a prior time. This is an apartment where people live and they scurry from the bathroom back to their room with bare feet because they take showers. I like Raph-sized footprints. You're making that up, Roberta. That is a complete falsehood.
It's, lots of the scene was cleaned. And, the logical inference from anyone who's looked at any true crime cases is,
like she does, she has a lot of free time.
If you're cleaning a scene and you're arranging it, one of the things that Manini picked up on was that Meredith Kircher's body was covered with a duvet. And when you cover a body, it indicates a relationship with the victim, and it also indicates shame and regret.
Okay, well then, Rudy Gudet had shame and regret, and a relationship with the victim. Yeah, he just raped and murdered her. That's the relationship. He had seen her around, he had lusted after her because she was a person in the town that he lived in.
Women often do that.
Women never rape and murder their roommates. They never do that, actually. Women and duvet covers, am I right? These women, because they're so conflicted, they are so willing to stab their roommate in the neck and rape them with their non-penis and just murder them because, those psychopathic 20-year-old foreign exchange students who are dating Italian Harry Potter and smoking weed, big murderous crowd. I don't know if you guys watch true crime, but trust me, it's a thing. But after they do it, the reason I know that they're women is they covered the face with the duvet. Because women are just universally different to men. They don't feel shame or regret over murder. This was Rudy's first murder. So I don't really know if we're exactly experts on how he will react after raping and murdering someone.
But it's really the totality of all the evidence. So why wasn't there any kind of mixed DNA that lit up under luminol of Meredith and, say, Philomena, Meredith and Laura? Those are the other roommates. It's only Amanda Knox.
Oh, Roberta, that's because they were taking swabs from the bathroom that was shared by Amanda and Meredith. So their DNA is going to be found in their bathroom that they shared. And the other two Italian roommates are in a different bathroom. So if you go test that bathroom, you're going to find those two Italian women's DNA mixed. Capiche? Christ, you are dumb. He got out of jail in 2021. Still hasn't admitted to this shit.
See,
it's unbelievable.
Right there. Do you see that? Do you see that? We want to go back a little bit? little bit. That is Raf's footprint on the bath mat. There it is. See it? See it? Right there. Half the footprint. That is a perfect replica of Raf's foot. Rudy Goudet's did not fit. Like the Cinderella slipper that fit perfectly.
Oh, wow, she's so smart! In between feeding the cats, Roberta Glass has true crimed this shit into oblivion. Why? Because that's Raphael's foot, don't you know? It's a perfect match. That's a Cinderella, that's a smoking gun. Raffaele is the killer.
Along with the DNA of Raffaele Sollecito on Meredith Kercher's bra clasp, Amanda Knox's lamp in the room. So if Rudy Goudet did this alone...
Rudy Goudet's didn't fit that footprint. It's a perfect match for Raphael. You're screwed, my man. Minus 10 points for Team Gryffindor.
But that is Raf's footprint on the bath mat. There it is. See it? See it? Right there. Half the footprint. That is a perfect replica of Raf's foot. Rudy Goudet's did not fit. Like the Cinderella slipper that fit perfectly.
Okay, well, I guess we're kind of screwed. Now, we're going to take a look at this, but first, I want to present a little bit of evidence to the court. Raphael was at home. Okay, they were at home. They had just watched a movie. They slept in. He came over to the apartment when Amanda called him and said, there's something suspicious happening here. He had shoes on. Raphael did not track blood onto this bathroom rug. He did not have his shoes off. Okay, he's been to this apartment. This is the apartment of his 8-day-old girlfriend, but this is not his footprint. And why would it be? I mean, what? First of all, there's Rudy Goudet's footprints are all over the crime scene room, Meredith's room. His fingerprints are, his semen is,
I don't produce
his
semen.
DNA is, his shit is in the other bathroom. Rudy Goudet admits he was in this bathroom and covered with blood. Let me run that by you one more time. It is not controversial, it's not denied. Rudy Goudet is on record. His bullshit story is wonderful, and go watch my video on that. He is saying he tried to help Meredith. He came out of the bathroom, where he was in there listening to songs on his headphones, blasting it very loudly. He listened to over 3 songs while squeezing out a shit on a first date with a girl. That's his story. And then he heard something, and he comes out, oh my God, I saw 2 figures leaving. And they said something about, oh, black man found, black man guilty. And then he runs into the room, sees Meredith has a knife wound in her, she's bleeding out. He tries to help her. He goes to the bathroom. He gets towels, but he's covered with blood. He can't stop the bleeding. He's running back and forth to this bathroom. He said, that's Rudy's testimony. That's what he says. Now, he's lying in a million ways, but the one thing he's not lying about is that he was in this bathroom. And that's his fucking foot.
Che vado nel bagno vicino alla camera sua e il prima asciugamano che trovo, la prima cosa che avesse la sembianza di un asciugamano, prendo un asciugamano e cerco di tamponare la ferita. Poi ritorno di nuovo nel bagno, ne prendo un altro di asciugamano e poi...
Lei dice qualcosa?
Hold on right there. Let's wait for that. Let's go back to the other one.
Che vedo una copiosità di sangue che gli esce, insomma, d'attorno. Allora, la prima cosa istintiva che cerco di fare è... mi rendo conto di quello che è successo e allora dico, vado in bagno, nel bagno più vicino alla stanza di Meredith e prendo un asciugamano. Entro dentro la stanza di Meredith.
Such a moral guy. It's just his instinct. He has no choice in the matter. He's just gonna try to help people.
E mi rendo conto che è ferita al collo e cerco di tamponare la ferita. Però non basta tutto ciò. E che faccio? Ritorno dentro il bagno di nuovo e prendo un altro asciugamano e cerco di ritamponare la ferita. E ne riprendo un altro di asciugamano.
Lei parla della ferita, dove ce l'aveva questa ferita?
La ferita ce l'aveva al collo ce l'aveva. Insomma, cerco di tamponarle la ferita, ma non ci riesco, addirittura cerco... guardi, è straziante, non saprei come descrivere quei momenti perché sono così strazianti e cerchi di fare il massimo.
Heart-wrenching. Yeah, you couldn't stop the bleeding, so you threw a duvet over her, and then you robbed her. Took her credit cards and cell phones and the cash, and then you cleaned up, and then you got the hell out.
Che poi per soccorrere una persona che non ti rendi conto di che è successo, chi è stato, non sai, in quell'istante che che avevo un po' di lucidità, cerco di fare la cosa giusta che poteva fare una qualsiasi persona, soccorrere Meredith. Meredith addirittura cerca di dirmi qualcosa, questo suono,
What?
che poi io tenterò di scrivere le lettere.
Meredith tried to say af to you? What? Was it Affleck? Was it Ben Affleck? So she's there dying, bleeding from her neck and spitting out blood, and she comes and says, Af? Oh, was she saying Raf? She was saying it was Raf. Is that what you're trying to imply here? The fuck are you talking about af?
Tenterò di scrivere le lettere sul muro.
Col sangue.
What? Wait, what? You motherfucker, you have the nerve to explain away your fingerprints in her blood on the wall as you trying to write the words af? Because she's saying the sound af? And you're like, oh, hold on, Meredith, let me remember this. I don't have a pen and paper, so let me just use your blood, hold on. Let me just dip a little bit on the neck and okay, af. But you're not spelling anything, Rudy, it's just your fingers. That's not a word. I mean, first of all, why would you write down a sound that doesn't have any meaning? It was of grave importance. Is that it? She was telling you the murder. And so your 3 fingerprints right there, you're trying to tell us is you spelling the words af. Can I just pull the lever? Can we just electrocute this dude? Are you fucking watch.
Col sangue, sì, perché avevo le mani insanguinate, perché mentre tentavo di soccorrerla, anch'io mi sporco le mani col suo sangue, no? E dunque cerco sento solo lei, con difficoltà e cerco, però ad un certo punto un ragazzo di 20 anni trovarsi dinanzi a una situazione del genere da un momento all'altro, così, boom, dal nulla, cioè lo shock, la paura.
So even he right now is like, look, I know it's a stupid thing that I came up with, but I said it and I have to explain why my bloody fingerprints are on the wall with her blood. And so this is what I came up with. And I guess I was just confused and freaking out and, totally. I mean, what on earth are we witnessing? Af. Hold on, Meredith, before I call the cops and get the freaking ambulance here, let me just write down af, but I'll just put marks. I'll just say 1, 2, 3. Those are 3 afs. I mean, what is going on?
Balzo su di me e non mi ha più fatto ragionare e ha fatto sì che io uscissi da quella casa.
Well, unfortunately, this is one of the biggest points they have against him. This is the big boy, the footprint. It's a Cinderella match. It's a perfect match. What is it? It's unbelievable.
Right there. Do you see that? We want to go back a little bit. That is Raf's footprint on the bath mat. There it is. See it? See it? Right there. Half the footprint. That is a perfect replica of Raf's foot. Rudy Goudet's did not fit. Like the Cinderella slipper. That fit perfectly.
Well, I present to you this. This is the bloody footprint that we're talking about. I have increased the saturation of the image and the contrast to showcase the exact shape of the print. And over here on the right, these are 2 footprints. One of them, I'm not going to tell you which one of them is Rudy Goudet's footprint. Because those hacky idiots over in the Italian police department had the wherewithal to get footprints of both guys because they did find a bloody footprint at the crime scene. Now they tested the other footprints in the room of the murdered woman, Meredith Kircher. All of those footprints were the exact same size and shoe of Rudy Gaudet. So that was his footprints and his fingerprints and his semen and his DNA all over that room. But no, we're talking about the bare footprint here now. One of these is Rudy's, one of these is Raphael's. Now, I'm in Photoshop here. I wonder how can we eyeball this? Can you guys eyeball which one is which here? Let's see. Let's take this one on the right here. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to replicate this layer and invert it, turn it white, so that when I drag it over here, we are going to superimpose this on top of this. Now I'm going to line up, you see the left corner of the foot? You know how a foot kind of looks like Africa? Well, let's go over to West Africa here, and let's try to line that up. Now, if we line that up, the problem is the toe is a little bit too tall. The toe goes over where it should go. And also, this toe is wide. That is a stumpy little big toe. It is a mushroom tip. Very wide-toed individual, this man. And I'm seeing a couple other things of note. If you count the number of toes on this, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 imprints. 4 imprints. The other one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I guess this guy's missing a toe? No, this is a guy who doesn't imprint on his second toe. So his second toe, like many toes, they're all retarded. Mine are, you know, look, I'm not gonna throw any stones from my glass retarded toed house. All right, so the second toe does not make an imprint because it's tucked behind and it's up and in. Happens a lot. But if you look at the bloody footprint, do you see this shape here? That's not part of the big toe, that's the actual second toe that is kind of pinched in and is making that imprint. But okay, let's say, what if we tried to line up the big toe? So let's line the big toe up here. Oh, it's not a fit, it's too wide. This is Laurel and Hardy. And also look at the Africa contour. It completely is not aligning. So this is no goo on the fit here. Let's jump over to the other foot. I invert it, I superimpose it, I slide it over, and that looks rather convincing. That is actually lining up exactly like it's the same foot. Look at the toe, look at the curvature of the African continent. Now, the second toe is not pinched in, but that's just the nature of how he was moving in that moment and how the toe landed on that particular footstep. But the primary shape and dimensions of this foot is an exact Cinderella match to this bloody footprint. So then the question is, which one of these footprints is Rudy's and which one is Raphael's? Well, the short stubby one that doesn't match is Raphael's, and the one that is a perfect fit is Rudy Guedet's. Now, you can go research this yourself. You won't, but you could. And I will bring this up, and this is highlighted, and they showcase where the other prints are. And this is comparing the bloody footprint to Raphael's foot, and it's highlighting the fact that there is no second toe imprint. That's not what he does when he steps down. His big stumpy toe dominates his entire foot, and his second toe gets no love and does not make contact with the earth when he walks. So this is pretty convincing evidence that that is not his footprint, and then you just measure it all out. So from the base to the top, it's 51 millimeters. Nope, Raphael's is 57. 60 millimeters to 65. And then we have 62 compared to 68. It's just not the same foot. And yet all the dimensions line up for Rudy.
Guedet parla del fatto che in questo omicidio, dove c'è tantissimo sangue ed è dappertutto, c'è una pozza di sangue, si vede nelle fotografie, lui stesso dice che si è inzuppato i pantaloni ed era zuppo fino nei calzini di sangue. Mi dispiace di raccontare questi dettagli, certo, ma devo rappresentare. Invece di me hanno addirittura analizzato le spugnette, gli asciugamani, gli scarichi dei lavandini, degli scarichi della doccia, tutti gli scarichi, ogni angolo della mia casa e dei miei vestiti, e non hanno trovato nulla. Perché c'è questa disparità e com'è possibile?
Com'è possibile? Ma è possibile perché noi siamo di fronte a un apparato che dovrebbe fare giustizia, a partire dalle indagini preliminari e tutti gli accertamenti, che viene fatta con metodi che definire artigianali, per non dire cioè non vorrei dire parolacce, però mi vengono solo parolacce. Capisci? Cioè, siamo di fronte a dei metodi così sciatti, così da incapaci, come se si trattasse di decidere chi ha cucinato il pollo. Ma no, qui siamo di fronte a persone umane, a una vittima che merita giustizia. Siamo di fronte a persone accusate a vanvera, su basi cialtronesche, e tutto questo mi fa paura. Io sentivo parlare prima la requisitoria, io non ho niente contro nessuno, anzi io adoro i magistrati perché ne ho terrore, quindi dico, magistrati, vi amo, lasciatemi in pace perché è tutta una vita che sono in ballo con tribunali, mi condannano per delle cose, a querele. A volte sono stato assolto che avevo torto, quasi sempre condannato che avevo ragione.
Occhio che non
è un disastro. No, ma io dico la verità.
Il crimine, occhio.
Ma io dico quello che è, poi non ho paura. Io di fronte a queste mostruosità inorridisco. Non dico, io nei suoi panni, guarda, io vado sul piatto, non solo sarei scappato, forse in alternativa mi sarei suicidato.
No, non diciamo questo.
Come no? Ma tu non sai cosa vuol dire stare 25 anni in galera. Noi parliamo a cacchio. Chiedilo a lui cosa vuol dire stare in galera. Starci 25 anni.
In 2 metri per 3 con un bagno che non riesci
dai.
nemmeno a sederti, con una persona che ti guarda di continuo. Ma
Roberta Bruccioli, torniamo sulla requisitoria
Vabbè, mi dilettavo in questo, ma rispondendo a quello che faceva riferimento la dottoressa, nella scena non ci sono tracce di pulizia e quelle orme di cui parlava non è detto che siano attribuibili a più persone, perché sono tutte orme di uno stesso piede, che se non sbaglio è quello sinistro, mio padre lo sa meglio di me.
Non è
No,
lo stesso piede.
non è vero, è sempre lo stesso piede, sempre lo stesso. E quello
Non è
che
scritto
dicono
questo.
che è mio sul tappetino non può essere mio, perché anche se a metà e quindi non si può definire la dimensione del piede,
della traccia.
perché non si può dire di quanto è grande, però si può vedere benissimo che il secondo dito su quel tappetino appoggia, mentre io non appoggio mai il secondo dito. La perizia fa...
And that's a mistranslation, it's not finger, it's toe. And he's like, I don't put my second toe doesn't touch the ground. It just never does.
Dall'accusa, voglio finire, la perizia fatta dall'accusa, i periti portati dall'accusa, cioè i periti, i consulenti portati dall'accusa si sono dichiarati incompetenti in morfologia, significa che non se ne sanno niente di come sono le morfologie dei piedi.
So this is, again, proof positive that every part of this case is demented and dumb, and the people that purport that Raphael and Amanda are guilty are just complete clowns. They have no idea what they're talking about. Let me ask you this. How hard do you think it would be for you to find these images? To find the foot impression of Rudy Guede and of Raffaele Sollecito. It's in the court documents. You can find it. This is an old case. You can find a picture of that bloody footprint. You can do what I just did, size it up for yourself. It's not even close. This is not even close. This is like a runaway obvious situation. Circumstantially, evidentiarily, commonsensically, and this is why the case against Raphael is a total disgrace. But in my next video, there's still parts of the Jenga game that we got to address. So far, we've tackled he knew nothing was stolen, which was joyously, dementedly stupid. And then the footprint, it's not his footprint. So why did you put this man in jail? Explain, what? How? All right, we'll go over the rest of it. There's much more to come. And then we're going to circle back to Amanda Knox. Because the people out there that think these two people are guilty, they remain. They exist. And every once in a while, it is incumbent upon us to go through the painstaking, laborious task of illustrating other people's stupidity to them. Why? Because there's consequences here. These people's lives were essentially ruined. They could have been in jail for decades. Finally, they were let out and have continued to lead glorious lives. Rudy Guede has been let out. Oh, wait till you hear the update on what he's been up to. Let's see if that fits any patterns. I guess it just so happens that the true crime podcasting cat lady morons of this world seem to have forgotten the first part of the genre, which is the true part. They don't seem to have the capacity to understand what is true. They exhibit their defiant and insufferable stupidity openly and with great vigor. It is at the same time powerfully cringy and yet wildly entertaining to see people so confident of something they are so wrong about. You're a cunty, obnoxious buffoon, Roberta. And what's even better, you'll never admit you were wrong because you're that desperate to hold on to the idea that you are right and that you are somehow in the know. The facts have been presented. You won't say a goddamn thing about it. Raffaele Sollecito is a completely innocent man, and you are a freakishly ghoulish idiot.
With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In a world where time is money, Recognize the time it took for Devon to make yet another brilliant video for you to suck down your gullet. He spent his time to make your time on this earth better. Now unfuck your skull and Cash App this hero immediately. I have spoken.